After being a console exclusive since February 2024 on the PS5 and also releasing for PC, Helldivers 2 has finally come to the Xbox Series X and S. While playing through the tutorial mission on the Xbox Series X, I noticed in the performance stats that there was a huge frame dip that I hadn't seen in the PS5 version, and that very quickly got me wondering, is one of these versions a lot better than the other? Welcome to my notebook. This is Helldivers 2 Xbox versus PS5, and which is better? Let's take a look. Now before you ask, no, I'm not going to be looking at the PC version, I'm going to be looking at the console versions, because how am I supposed to tell you if the PC version's better if I don't know what kind of PC you have? But now I've spent some time with the PS5 version and the Xbox Series X version, so we're going to chat about the comparison between the two and which is better in which departments and why. I got my notebook ready, so let's get settled in.
Liberty, democracy, justice. They're in your hands now.
And before we carry on, if you want to check out the original review that we did when Helldivers 2 just came out, I've linked it in the description, and in the video, you can go check out a fresh dose of democracy right there. So something I realized pretty quickly when I started playing Helldivers 2 was that it's actually kind of a janky game. This isn't a game that's maybe known for its detail and its super polish. You realize after not long that it's more about the broad strokes, and it's more like a painting painted with a big brush that paints a big picture rather than some fine detail. And that really kicks in once you're in the middle of missions and things are really getting stuck in and you realize just how immersive and cinematic the whole thing can feel. Early on, I put on the performance stats that are in the visuals menu. I noticed that when I was doing the tutorial and in some areas early on, there was this very consistent drop to about 40 frames a second when you're in performance mode. And that made me wonder now why that's happening, because that wasn't a PS5 problem. It was quite a big dip, enough to make me wonder what the rest of the experience is like. Are there little problems here and there that are going to cause trouble for Xbox players who've come in to start playing? Once you get going and the gameplay gets going, the fun starts and it really just starts feeling like a great time. So the only thing that's going to get in your way other than that is if you start having issues now with crashing or performance or something like that. If you jump between the PS5 version and the Xbox Series X version of Helldivers 2, it's very difficult to tell the two apart. So far, like I mentioned, in terms of performance, the only thing I've seen was these very weird dips in specific areas. But speaking to some people online and then also playing some missions myself, I found that in many cases I didn't get any dips at all when I was playing on the Xbox when I was out and about in full big missions. Nothing that was even remotely noticeable to a degree that it affected the gameplay. However, people on PS5 have told me as well that that's just sort of par for the course with Helldivers 2, and that it is quite a janky game in that way. And when you get up to the harder difficulty levels, that there's a lot more enemies running around than the performance tanks even on the PS5. So that makes sense to me, and it seems overall that this game really could use a bit more optimization across the board. I mean, it's a nice looking game, but in all honesty, if you look at the kind of game it is and the scope of it, I've seen other games that are about the same size with sharper resolutions and more solid performance, so it can be done, I think. So I'd like to see more of that in future, especially now with the player base growing even bigger than it was before. For what it's worth, I did recently just do a mission on, I think it's suicide difficulty with 3 other people, and it was absolute chaos. We got through it, but it was pretty good, to be honest, on the Xbox Series X. There was no situations I was playing where everything suddenly started chugging or, really having a big problem. The only place where it consistently seems like there's some real proper chugging in performance is when your drop pods are actually heading down to the planet. But again, from speaking to people on different platforms, it seems like this is consistent across the board. It doesn't matter if it's PC, Xbox, PS5, there is just a bunch of sort of chugging as the drop pods are coming down, and it has no effect on the gameplay. It really doesn't affect anything else, so that's great. It's just some sort of transition thing that's going on there. They could probably mask it or cover it if they really wanted to. Alright, so in terms of the Xbox versus the PlayStation and performance, I would say that right now they're very similar, except for the fact that there is a few little spots here and there that I've spotted on the Xbox Series X where performance does these weird little dips. It's not something I would honestly worry about though, so we're good in that department. So I'd say in this, I'm giving this one to the PlayStation 5. So moving on then, we have to look at the controls and the gameplay. Now this has to be looked at because there are some big differences here between the two consoles. They have different controller types with different controller layouts, and of course the PS5 has the DualSense while the Xbox Series X has a more standard controller with rumble. The DualSense is a more immersive experience because it's just kind of fun. But the truth of the matter is, after a while, I'm not sure that you're going to really be paying much attention to it anymore. I find really more like single player games where I appreciate it the most. On the other hand, it adds to the immersion, which is great, but then you kind of forget about it after a while. So this one definitely goes to the PlayStation though, because it is the cooler experience. So it wins in that department.
Upon which liberties invaders will be secured.
So then what about the actual hardware or the actual console experience on the whole? Because we now have the same game living in two completely different places. This is where for the first time, I think the Xbox has something on the PlayStation, because the Xbox still has something that the PS5 does not, and that is quick resume. Now, if you're on a PS5 and you've only ever used a PS5, you might not think that quick resume is that big a deal or that cool, but it is. The problem with both rest mode and quick resume is of course that you can't have an online service maintain the connection while the console is asleep, so certain games really don't like it when you just jump back in or they disconnect or kick you back. Luckily, with Helldivers 2, I tested it out, and if you're sitting on your ship, for example, and you turn your Xbox off or go to sleep and you quick resume back in, it's very quick to just sort of reconnect to the servers and pop you back into where you need to be. So the entire process is pretty quick, so if you're just loading in, it's pretty quick to just pop back into the game, get it connected, and then you can carry on. Again, your miles may vary in this department of how important this is to you, but if you're someone who wants to just get into your games and get going as quick as you can, especially if you have limited time, then this is going to be a bigger deal than it is for others. Either way, the Xbox takes this one for pretty much that reason alone, so there's something for Xbox. In terms of network performance and things like that, in both cases the game has been fantastic online. The latency has been good, the performance has been good, I haven't been getting dropped from games, everything there has been great, so in this case, they're both just awesome, so no complaints there. Now another big thing to talk about is of course the fact that there is crossplay between these two consoles, and that is fantastic, because we now have PS5 people coming back to play, we have Xbox people who are first coming on for the first time, but we do have this giant divide between some people who are seasoned veterans and a whole army of people coming on who've never played this before. And man, what a great surprise to find out that the existing community has been super cool, and I've been hearing this from other people as well. I've joined some games with randoms where a dude jumps in and he's like level who knows what, like 100 and something, and they come in and they're super cool. They tell people, they tell you what to do, they tell you like things to help you out, they usher you through areas or give you some advice. It's been really, really great, and I think with hearing this from other friends and people on social media also posting about this, this really just warms my heart, because this is what gaming should be about. And it's so cool to see everyone playing together and having a good time. And of course the idea of Helldivers is that everybody is fighting together and working together against the common enemy. So this is a big win for absolutely everybody in terms of crossplay and the community and everything that goes with it. But again, if we're talking about the specific topic of Helldivers 2 Xbox versus PS5, this is definitely another department where everybody wins. It's really, really fun playing Helldivers, and it's great that we're now in a situation where there are more players than ever. The concurrent numbers of people playing has just skyrocketed since the Xbox version has released. It's bringing back the PS5 and the PC players, and it's bringing in a whole new audience of people coming into the game. And then there's also the very cool thing like the Halo crossover that's come in now with ODSTs and everything like that. And this has just been really cool to see, especially with the release of Gears of War coming to the PS5 now at the same time. And if I've got coverage for that up already, I will have a link to the video now, or I'll put it in the description so you can check that out. Okay, but to sort of relook at where we are with the Helldivers 2 Xbox versus PS5 debate, really at the end of the day, they're very similar in some ways, but the PS5 wins it out when it comes to things like the visuals, just because it's slightly optimized, better at the moment, but there really isn't too much between them. Although I will say I would like to see better optimization for all of them going forward, because honestly they all could be a little bit better. Quick resume is awesome on the Xbox, while the PS5 is lacking that, which is a bit of a shame there. The community is great, the network is great, the crossplay is great, but there's no cross progression, so that kind of sucks. But all in all, Helldivers 2 has been awesome, and whether you're playing on the PlayStation or on the Xbox, I think that you're going to have a great time, so you don't have to worry that you've been shortchanged somehow by buying it on the platform that you've bought it on. Let me know if you've been playing Helldivers 2 and if you've been playing it on Xbox, PC or PS5, and also how the experience has been now that everyone's rushing back to play again. Oh, and by the way, if you enjoyed this video, you may want to check out some of these other ones that are up on the channel. But for now, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon.